Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to World This Morning. I am your host Hajra Satti and today happens to be a fine rainy morning, Friday morning in Islamabad, and it's raining and we are enjoying the weather because the temperature has dropped, the mercury has dropped, but there's also a little bit of humidity, but we are really enjoying that. And apart from that, it happens to be 27th of September 2024 and it is the World Tourism Day, and the theme of World Tourism Day is tourism and peace. We cannot deny the ability of the peacemaking prospects in order to integrate it into the tourism. And when we talk about the tourism, so tourism is the epitome of the intercultural dialogue. Not just that it allows us to foster the bonds with the other people, with other civilization. We are able to experience foreign languages, taste exotic foods and create the bonding with a lot of different human beings. And to borrow a phrase from Mustansan Hussain Tarar Saab, who happens to be a writer and also a traveler, he says the best thing about the traveling is that you get to meet new people and you always get to experience their good qualities, the better qualities. And when you get to experience them too deeply or understand them too deeply, you're never able to experience their flaws, because that is the point where you depart, because you're traveling and you're meeting them for a shorter period of time. So you always remember people in a gooder books, in a better mood, in a better environment. Why? Because you're not able to experience their flaws, their vulnerabilities. And I think this is the very amazing and a brilliant expression of traveling, of tourism. And in order to further roll this conversation, when we talk about the tourism in the context of Pakistan, how can we better provide the tourism facilities, because Pakistan has a different landscapes, it offers so many different environments, a diverse sort of environment. How can we make tourism more responsible and more sustainable? Because with the influx of the tourism, we see our citizens are not acting very responsibly, especially when it comes to waste management, especially when it comes to the environment out there, the littering, all of this prospect. I'm very glad that we have been joined by a wonderful guest. But before we join that, we have a message from the United Nations Secretary General on this prestigious World Tourism Day. Why didn't we go and take a look, and then let's roll forward a conversation.
Happy World Tourism Day. As we mark World Tourism Day this year, our planet is ravaged by war and insecurity. Around 1 in 4 of the global population now lives in areas of conflict. Many of us have first-hand experience of the suffering caused by war, and the impacts are felt far outside of war zones. We must urgently stand up for peace. The global tourist family is broad to diverse, but what unites us is our shared humanity. Ours is the most human sector. Every journey leads to a connection. Tourism brings world together and closer. Tourism builds trust and respect. It lays the foundations for cooperation, and it drives inclusive growth and prosperity, the surest safeguards against conflict. We need these values now more than ever. They underscore every part of UN tourism mission and our work. Our focus on education brings young people from different countries and cultures together, and it creates opportunities for them to find work and meaning. Our work in tourism for rural development means that nobody is left behind and the economies grow equally and fairly. And our passion for innovation presents new ways which we can connect and collaborate. Working side by side, we can ensure a brighter tomorrow for all.
Right, and to further build the bridges via tourism, I'm very glad that I've been joined by such a prestigious personality who has an immense experience in the tourism sector, and currently he's the managing director of PTDC. He happens to be Mr. Aftabur Rahman Rana Saab. Assalamu alaikum, sir, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Walaikum assalam, Hajra. Thank you for inviting on this important day.
And it's an absolute pleasure hosting you, sir. So now let's talk about the World Tourism Day, peace and tourism, and in the broader context of Pakistan. You're heading this prestigious institutions. Where are we in terms of the tourism, and how can we bring or build about more responsible tourism in Pakistan?
Hajra, you must be aware that Pakistan has been passing through a very difficult period over the last many years, yes, especially after the Afghan war and after the 9/11. There have been continuous decline of tourism in Pakistan because the perception about Pakistan around the world was this, that it is not a safe country. So now I think this theme of this year's Tourism Day, tourism and peace, is very much relevant with Pakistan, because tourism is much more than something than a business, because it brings people closer to each other and create an opportunity to learn about each other's values, each other cultures, each other's differences, and that's the good thing about tourism. So I think if we promote tourism, especially focusing on tourism and peace, it can bring quite a lot of positive aspect into our society as well. Pakistan is a country where there's a lot of diversity of culture, lot of diversity of languages. Even within the country, when domestic tourists travel from one region to other country, other regions of the country, they learn so much about the people of different areas. So I think is the best way to harness this potential of tourism to promote peace on this special occasion of 27 September, when the whole world is celebrating World Tourism Day, is very, very important for Pakistan. And we recently at PTDC have developed a new tourism brand, which is the Salam Pakistan.
Wonderful.
So Salam itself has the meaning of salamti,
Peace.
It's a peace, it's a message of welcome.
Wonderful.
So we are promoting this theme all over the world now to welcome tourists from around the world, our own people, from one region to other region. I think this will create a lot of positive impact on the overall activity of tourism within the country.
Right. Sir, no one can deny that tourism strengthens local communities, because the local communities are the first beneficiary of very flourishing tourism. And you rightly mentioned there are so many industries which are attached to the tourism industry. It's not just the hoteling, it's also the construction, and within the construction there are so many sectors. So it's a very vibrant activity. So now let's focus on the current atmosphere for the tourism. So our Chief Minister of the Punjab, Mariam Sahiba, she has introduced the hybrid double deckers, right? And this is the model that is we also witness, which is being replicated from the West. There are hop on, hop off, sightseeing buses, right? What is different in these hybrid double deckers, and are we witnessing the expansion of this program in other cities around the country?
You see, there are different segments of tourism. As you look around the landscape of Pakistan, we have such a diverse landscape, from world's tallest mountain to the most historical and beautiful cities, and all the way to the beautiful village life and to the most beautiful sandy beaches of the Makran coast. So this diversity required to develop into various forms of tourism products. As you mentioned, the double-decker bus, this is a very important segment of a city tourism. Like we have the city, very lively cities like Lahore, Multan, Faisalabad, Peshawar, Islamabad, Rawalpindi, Karachi. So now the government, federal level and provincial governments all working together to promote the urban tourism. And this step is a very positive step in terms of providing a quality mobility for the sightseeing within the city of Lahore, which is the hub of cultural activities, which has so many beautiful and historical monuments of Mughal era and many other dynasties. So now this service has already started in the Lahore. Now next month, hopefully, it will be also be introduced in the city of Islamabad and Multan and Faisalabad, and also Sindh government is planning to do it in Karachi. So all our major cities will have this kind of service for foreign and domestic tourism both. So this provide a very smooth mobility. Within few hours, you can see the most important monuments of that city through a guided tour. Like you go to London, to go to Paris and many other cities, you can find similar services there. So I think this will create a big boost in promoting the urban tourism in Pakistan.
True. I'm pretty sure, sir, because you've been associated with the tourism industry and you've been to a lot of other places to experience their tourism potential. So if you go to Istanbul, you will find that they project to market their civilizational history, right? So it was a hot pot of different cultures, Judeo-Christian, Islamic heritage, right? And if you go to their castles, if you go to their museums, so they have a very interactive session in which they display the history out there, right? It's affiliated with the artificial intelligence, it's a 3D experiences, and then it's also 5D experiences. When we talk about, for example, you mentioned Lahore, right? Lahore has an immense civilizational potential. It's one of the oldest city. It has seen so many governments change. Do you think, are we incorporating the modern technologies in the tourism industry, especially when we talk about museums, to gauge the interest of the visitors? Because our museums, they are usually being operated on a conventional model, right? There is a piece of artifact which is displayed there, there's a history written out there, but having this 3D experience, artificial intelligence experience, you know, it can really elevate the user experience. So are we thinking in that terms?
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a very important aspect to now modernize as per the requirement of the present age.
Right.
Pakistan is such a diverse country in terms of the history and culture, starting from right from the Mehergar. We have a continuous history of more than 9,000 years of humankind in Pakistan. And one of the finest civilization like Indus Valley civilization, Gandhara civilization flourished in this piece of land. So we have so much to showcase to the world, and you are absolutely right. Now we need to focus more on adoption of the new ways, new technologies, to to highlight all this aspect in front of the world. Our museums may be more conventional, as they must be having a program where we incorporate the technology to introduce interpretation of those pieces, relics which are lying on those, and the already work has started. Peshawar Museum has improved quite a lot. Sawat Museum has been redone the whole way. And there's a museum in Lahore, they are working to improve it, Texila Museum. So the government focus is now to capitalize the heritage in terms of a tourism product, as best as we can to showcase these heritage to the rest of the world, as much as tourists we can attract to Pakistan. So that's a very important aspect.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful that we are working towards that. Now, sir, let's unpack and conversation, unearth about some of the missing gaps that we are witnessing in the tourism industry. And Pakistan has a very vibrant tourism industry, especially in northern areas, and it attracts a lot of, I would say, in-house tourists, right? The Pakistanis who are flocking for the mountainous retreats. But we are witnessing that there are lots of problems that we are encountering. And I think it's not just the responsibility of the state, it is also the responsibility of the individuals to curb their carbon footprint, right? So for example, I went to Kumrat and they have such a pristine amount of very ancient forest, but they are very mercilessly cutting the forest out there, and instead they're propping up the concrete jungles, the hotel industry and all of this. What sort of smart tourism or climate change or climate friendly strategies we can incorporate to preserve tourism, and secondly to also preserve that prestigious environment, because that is the attractive point, that is why people are going there. So if we allow the slaughtering of the forest to go there, I mean nothing is going to be left there, right? And we know that how urbanization is very mushrooming phenomena.
Yeah, you see, over the years we have witnessed in Pakistan and also the rest of the world that the number of tourists is increasing in a tremendous manner. And that's because the social media influence and people have more readily available information through net, through mobile and other technologies. So there's a lot of promotion going on about the places now, and that's how the flow of tourists has increased. In Pakistan, for example, right now annually more than 6.5 million tourists are traveling within the country, foreign and domestic both. So such a large number of people, especially in some areas where there are more tourist attractions, like during summer, there are much larger number of tourist traffic moving towards the mountain areas, to Sawat, to Kagan, to Kumrat, to Gilgit-Baltistan and other places. And all these places have not that much big infrastructure to cater the need of the growing number of tourists. So now it's becoming a kind of a challenge also to manage those sites in a better manner. So the concept which on which we are now working is the sustainable tourism or the responsible tourism. On one side, we are trying to motivate the visitors to be more responsible while visiting these areas. Very recently, we have launched a full-fledged campaign on responsible tourism. When they're going into these areas, they should not throw litter here and there. They be careful in utilizing the water courses, not polluting rivers, lakes and all that. On the other hand, we are trying to also educate and train the local service providers, how best they can become the eco-friendly in terms of providing hotel services, transport services, guide services, managing their tourists. So because in coming years, there will be even much more larger tourist traffic. So we need to gear ourselves to handle this challenge. Even you must have seen the reports this year. In Europe, many countries, people started slogans, please, we don't need any tourists, Spain and France and many, where they
Even
have much
Japan,
more larger
yeah.
number.
Yeah.
Because tourism is just like, a phenomena which is very fastly growing
It's creating
around
lots
the
of
world.
noise, right? Environmental
And we need to
pollution,
adopt measures, we need to improve the management system so that we could avail the benefit, but at the same time we could minimize the negative impact which are happening due to the tourism.
True. Sir, thank you so much for highlighting that, and I think one of the important sub-theme or sub-subject that I would also like to focus through my platform is the, I would say, the sewerage management, right, and waste management particularly. And I've read a couple of reports that are coming from Hunza that because of the very vibrant, flourishing tourism industry there is no sewerage or waste management system there, and a lot of these hotels, they are flushing or dumping the litter into the very pristine waters, and these waters are our survival pathways, right? They are from them the Indus river is traveling down there, and we are getting that live stream. So we have seen that because of that, I mean, we are going to face and encounter a lot of problems when it comes to our even health.
Exactly.
Right?
Now government is very much focused on this. Very recently now they have taken decision. For example, Murray will have a complete new waste management system very soon.
Wonderful.
Similar thing has been established in Nathia Gali. KP government is now, where much of the domestic tourism traffic is going, now they're developing the destination management plan for Naran, for Kalam, for Kumrat, so that the local level arrangements are improved to manage the solid waste, the sewage flowing into the river or lakes, and also the negative impact on the landscape in terms of the ugly buildings. So control in terms of providing guideline to the hoteliers, how nice hotel they can make. So all these things are very important to maintain the long-term benefit of tourism.
Right.
Because we should not just focus on the short-term economic benefit, but in the long term, if we maintain the natural beauty, if we maintain the cultural heritage, it means hundreds of years we can get the benefit from all these. Otherwise, if it's overdeveloped, it is mushroom growth, it will ruin the whole scene of the tourism.
True. Sir, so we've seen, and I usually ask this question from a lot of people who come from the bureaucratic background, which is that tourism is a provincial subject, right? And PTDC is obviously a federal entity, and government or a state is a one entity, but it's an archipelago of various institutions who are working together to have a self-expression of the government, right? But again, when coming from a South Asian background or from a third world country, these institutions are designed in a way that they do not want to collaborate, right? How do you develop this culture of delivery so all of these provincial tourism departments are working in tandem with the PTDC, and you are better able to provide the touristic services to the tourists who are foreigners or maybe who are local tourists? How do you do that?
Absolutely. I think this is very important question, because tourism is a kind of a very complex business.
Yes.
And the multiple stakeholder involved at three different levels, at the federal level, at the provincial level, and at the destination level, where actually the tourism activity is taking place. So over the last few years, we have tried to develop this coordination and collaboration among the stakeholders by taking few steps at the federal level. For example, we have created a National Tourism Coordination Board in which the federal agencies and all the provincial tourism department and certain private sector stakeholders are member. They sit together, they discuss the issues and formulate policies and strategies how to tackle all these issues. Similarly, we have improved the governance within the PTDC by incorporating the tourism secretaries of all the provinces into the board of directors of PTDC. So the central level decision making at PTDC now have the input from the provinces as well. So this thing is now trickling down to the provincial level and even to the district level. Unless we are able to improve this management at all these three levels, we will not be able to create a kind of the model which is the sustainable for the longer period of time. That's on which we are focusing, and government is very much now focusing on developing the institutional model in terms of the improving the collaboration within the agencies. Now at federal level we have improved quite a lot. Similarly at the provincial level. Now the gap is at the district level. We need to bring down the local level agencies together in a model of a DMO, Destination Management Organization. If that is done, I think we will improve quite a lot of local level issues which are we facing at the moment.
Right. So, sir, we've seen, particularly when we talk about South Asian region or Asian society as a whole, so people who are Western tourists, they are very much interested in exploring, and they have, I think, it's a very overly explored market when I talk about our neighboring country, right? A lot of people flock there in order to find the meaning of life, and we have seen in the West that the concepts of yoga and meditation are flourishing because of the tourism potential of that country, right? And I've seen that there is an interest to explore the societies out of our neighboring country, and we've seen that there are a lot of universities, the vice chancellors, they were coming in, they were tapping into Pakistani market, they want to explore this country, and rightly you mentioned that as the lens of that strategic or security studies is being broken after the 9/11, there's a renewed interest in Pakistani market. So what is PTDC doing to tap into that Western market, the foreign tourists? And you talked about your product Salam Pakistan. Is it aligned to get their interest into our market?
You see, now there are so much tourists around the world willing to visit new sites, new places, experience new culture and history and all that.
And social media helps a lot, right?
Exactly. And now it is up to us how good we are to create a kind of a products which cater their needs.
Right.
And it is not just an kind of a business in which we could have all sort of tourists coming to Pakistan. We need to select the kind of a niche market from where and how many tourists we want to have from the Western countries, from the Eastern countries, from the America and from other regions and all that. What most suitable product are available within our own socio-cultural environment. We cannot have all sort of tourism in Pakistan, but we have some very strong element. For example, for adventure tourism, Pakistan is an ideal country where tallest mountain, glaciers and beautiful landscape of valleys. So that is one of the product on which we are focusing to develop further. Second, Pakistan is the land where you can see the great variety of ethnic backgrounds, starting from the Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, Christianity, Islam. So it has been a cultural crossroad,
Sufism,
so
right?
all these elements are there to promote religious tourism in Pakistan. Now we are also focusing on developing packages for Sikh tourism, for Gandhara heritage and for other as well. Third is the element which is the rich cultural heritage, Indus Valley civilization, Mughal era, and our own different dynasties. And this product is also very strong for the senior citizens around the world who would like to see these places. And side by side, we are also focusing on new product, for example, ecotourism, medical tourism, rural tourism, wellness and health tourism. These are new products on which we are thinking now to develop them as a product. So variety is there, and it's now a kind of collaboration between private and public sector to create packages according to the needs of the visitor from different region.
Right.
So Salam Pakistan is an umbrella campaign to attract more tourists, but within that we have various segments on which we are working.
Right. So, sir, very quickly, because I'm really short on time, my wonderful colleague Naila Shuja was interested in exploring how are we catering to the differently able community, people who are deaf, who are blind, to tap into the tourism potential industry, right? What are we doing? Their integration into the tourism industry, and as a tourist, how are we catering to them?
Yeah, obviously, to have these products on ground, you need to engage various stakeholders, especially the local communities, the building their capacity in terms of the quality services and human resource, which is a very, very important element in tourism. Over the last 3-4 years, we have done quite a lot of consultation with education institutions in terms of improving the quality of services through improving the human resource. Now more than 20 universities in Pakistan are offering BS level tourism and hospitality training program. And there are quite a large institutional network now in all main cities which are offering diploma and certificate level courses to youth. So one of our focus is now to improve the human resource in tourism hospitality, and through that we will improve the quality of services. And having that, obviously the main impact will be the overall growth in economy.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for coming here, for giving us very insightful discussion about the tourism industry, how is Pakistan faring in that, and what needs to be done in order to bridge that missing gap. But more importantly, how Pakistan is a very beautiful country in order to explore, because at every point you will find so many different enticing things. We're going on a short break, and after we come back, we have an interesting discussion lined up. Don't go anywhere. Good morning. Thank you so much, sir. Welcome back, and we have an interesting discussion lined up, and it is sort of a nexus that we want to create, or there are people who are striving to create between the academia and between the workplace, and that is related to the field of law, and that is related to the moot court competition. So what exactly are the moot court competition, and how can we build bridges between the universities and between the marketplaces? We are very glad that we have been joined by 3 wonderful young students, and they have been accompanied by their mentor, and they are going to talk about the moot court competition. So I'm very pleased that I've been joined by Miss Amnat Iman. She happens to be a student. Assalamu alaikum, Amnat, and thank you so much for coming to my show.
Walaikum assalam, and thank you so much for inviting us.
It's an absolute pleasure hosting you here. And besides Amnat, I'm glad that I've been joined by Faizjan Huda. She's also a student. She's participated in the moot court competition. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Okay, and joining her, we are glad that we have been joined by Miss Hadika Qureshi. She is also a student, and she also won a competition in a moot court competition. Assalamu alaikum, Hadika, and thank you so much for coming to my show.
Thanks to you.
And joining all of these wonderful young ladies is their mentor, who happens to be Raja Sajjad. He's the Director Admin, Sindh Mehran Institute of Law. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much, Sajjad. So Sajjad, now let's start from you. So please explain to us what exactly is the moot court competition, and how are you fostering an environment to bridge a gap between the academia and the workplace through these moot court environments?
Yes, ma'am. Moot court competitions are the competitions. It is like a fictional court which is done by various departments and universities or in colleges, and organized by national organizations and international organizations in many countries, here in Pakistan also. Here is HDMC's also moot court competition which is held in Rumi Hotel, and it is organized by ICRC and many other competitions like Jazz Up.
Right. So now we will ask our wonderful students here, how was their experience and what exactly were their debating point, because being a lawyer or being going into this field, you have a very articulative sort of a stream of thoughts, and how would you like to present it? So Amnat, please explain to me what was your debating point, and did you win this competition? How was your experience?
Experience was very good, as in this competition, this was basically organized by CRC, International Committee of the Red Cross, and the history of International Committee of the Red Cross has been within the ambit of IHL, the promotion of international humanitarian law. And as this is the international organization, so its main ambit was on the international humanitarian law. And throughout Pakistan, many organizations and institutes approach to them and submit preliminary answers, and among them only 12 teams select throughout the Pakistan, and our college, Sindh Mehran Institute of Law, was one of them, and we were among those 12 teams.
Right. Faiz, now coming to you, she's explained the history and what was that about. So please explain to us what was your debating talking point, and what were the arguments that you posed in front of that competition committee?
Okay, so that case we have given was the fictional case. Basically, the moot court competitions which happens in national courts or in international give us such kinds of fictional cases.
Right.
So it was based on war crime. War crime is basically crime which has been committed during wars, because
War crimes, right?
international humanitarian law deals with the wars which during the armed conflicts within the country or international. So it was basically dealing with one of the war crime given under the statute of international criminal courts.
Right, and Hadika, now coming to you, so what inspired you to study this very prestigious profession? Because as I can recall, I have a couple of experiences, you know, picking up some legal documents from one of my lawyer cousins, and this field is, I mean, heavily dominated by the men. Let's not, I mean, mince some words, right? So do you find it like a bit uncomfortable with working with them, for the lack of better expression, and which particular subfield do you want to focus in when you graduate out of this law school?
I think that's a question that it is of utmost importance, because there
Because
are
you're
such
dealing with the
people-
criminals, right? And it's very difficult experience with them.
Exactly. Therefore, some of the families, they just restrict their daughter. They do not join this
Yes,
field.
yes, yes.
So that's a big thing. But what I have found in this field, that we can grow more. Instead, we can grow in any other field.
Right.
Because though there is male dominancy, but there are also females who are more joining it and persuading towards their professionalism in their
Right.
career.
Right,
So the thing which inspired me, that firstly, it's a field of justice,
right.
which I personally think that our country is in dire need of the justice, because there is, to be honest, that too much injustice and people are suffering with that.
Yes, yes.
So I would love to serve them if I get a chance in my future too.
Right. Sajjad Saab, now moving the conversation to you. So I'm witnessing a panel of three brilliant, wonderful ladies here. What is the ratio of, you know, female student versus the male student in your university when we are talking about the law department? And, you know, do you feel some sort of prejudiced remarks? You know, yeah, the entire panel is dominated by the women. There's no men out there. So what was your remarks? How do you cater with that?
Yes, we have about 20% ratio in our college
Okay.
of women or girls in
Right.
here. I think this field is not for only just men's, also as well as women's also. Then here is a lot of space in this field for women.
Right, right. That's very true, and I think we cannot deny the fact that the conversations now we are witnessing or having on the social media, on the academic discourses and the public discourses are gearing towards the gender equality. And when we talk about it, so Amnat, now that's coming back to you. So you're dealing with the international humanitarian law in this moot court competition, right? And I think there's a lot of scope, because in Pakistan no one is talking about international humanitarian law, and it's very different from the normal law, or for the lack of better term, you know, heteronormative law. I don't know how to better express that. So are you interested in pursuing the international humanitarian law field? Because I think it offers you a lot of scope, right? As a layman, what would you like to say?
Indeed, indeed, because various organizations or the institutes which held moot court competitions, their mainly focuses on the domestic law, which is of the Pakistan's law. But international organizations, just as in JASAP, this was the last international law moot court competition where we had qualified for the international rounds, being runner-ups in that competition.
Right, right.
And we have represented our college at the international level in Washington, DC. And so this is the scope of international law, that there is a very less students are going towards this field, because no doubt that the exposure at international level is a big thing. And scholarships and other things are also of a big concern of the students, that they don't usually and easily get the scholarships.
Yes.
So they don't go for the international humanitarian law or other sectors of the international law. But I personally prefer that if we engage in such type of competitions, such as International Committee of the Red Cross also offers the internships, and after that they also offers the scholarship to visit Geneva, which is the headquarter of these all international humanitarian laws ambit. So that is the very good step to having such competitions, and every law student should pursue such kind of competitions, that they might get the opportunities for the international exposure as well,
Right.
and they might get out of this country to explore their country and also to represent their country at the international level.
Right. So, Faiz, now coming to you, when we talk about the international humanitarian law, right, and we've seen that there is no, yes, there is an international body out there, United Nations, a global body, and it is overlooking, different organization or organ of that body, but it is often, its construction is often replete with a lot of criticism that, it was created for the sake of peace, but I guess they're still striving for that purpose, and it has been quite a time, since its creation. So how do you see the development or the evolution of international humanitarian law in the context of Pakistan? So, for example, if you become an international humanitarian lawyer in Pakistan, what are some of the missing gaps that you see and you would want to advocate it for the Pakistan on an international platform?
Actually, the main thing is that ICRC, which have been working on international humanitarian law in Pakistan, is completely neutral. So it has been working on in a neutral space, and whenever a lawyer is working on an international humanitarian law within the ambit of Pakistan or internationally, they will be working neutrally in whether in Pakistan or in international ambit. So I think whenever I will consider international humanitarian law to be practiced, I will consider it completely neutral, where I have been working, whether in Pakistan or in other countries.
Right. Hadika, so now let's bring the conversation to you, and she used a very interesting term. She used the term called neutral, and she wants to project herself as a neutral lawyer whenever she is going on an international platform, right? But there are lots of debates that are debunking the myth that even, when you are being neutral, you are having a third stance, a neutral stance, like it is also taking a position out there, right? Yes. So how does this the notion of neutrality plays out in the international humanitarian law, and how can we better protect the interest of our community in a greater benefit or in a greater terms? What does the law says, international humanitarian law says, as for the sake of the debating point?
So the very firstly that as my friend has mentioned, that she wants to be neutral, and in my notion being neutral is the best thing, because according to international humanitarian law, there are several countries involved in the conflict. So if a person is not neutral, they would definitely not give access to them, because there is a thought in their mind that maybe they are supporting the adverse party. But being neutral shows them that yes, they are neutral, and they even won't be at our side and even won't be at our adversary side. So that's the thing which affects, and on that ICRC is also working, being neutral, impartial. So that's the main thing, that if a person is doing at internationally level, like international humanitarian law, so one should be neutral.
Right. So, Sajjad Sahab, one last question before we wind up the segment. Since you've brought these kids to these Moot competitions, how do you evaluate their performance, right? How does this add to their academic experience and also the workplace experience? And how does it add values to their already an academic experience, because they're already being taught theory at the schools, right, or at their colleges or at the universities, right? So what addition this Moot competition brings to their performance, and how do you measure that entire impact on that? Is a successful experience so far? How is the university receiving them? How are the students receiving them? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, as well as the academic side, I think this is a practical side of this theoretical side. So this type of competition must be held in every university or any organization for students' knowledge and for the practical life. So I think Moot court competitions or this type of competitions is very mandatory in all colleges or in universities.
Right. Thank you so much, our worthy guests, for coming here. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming here. I'm wishing you all of the best for your future endeavors, for your future work, and I hope that you prosper, you flourish, and be a source of pride, not to just your parents, but also to your state, to your country. Thank you so much, Sajjad Sahab, for coming here. And I'm winding up this segment, and I'm saying bidding you Allah Hafiz. Until next time, it's a goodbye and good morning. Thank you.